embarking on a quarter-century of excellence.
Welcome back. You are watching News Center, and with us right now is Ashwani Kumar, the former Law Minister. Mr. Kumar, thank you very much for joining us. With the suspension of these over 140 opposition MPs, what is the larger message that is going out?
The larger message is a very unfortunate message for parliamentary democracy. The optics are not good, the substance is not good, and the message is certainly not conducive to parliamentary democracy. Never before in the history of the country, on a single day, there were as many expulsions from both houses of parliament. The opposition cannot be aggravated to a point where it is compelled to have an aggressive posture in the House. You aggravate the opposition, the aggravated opposition does something, and then you use your extraordinary powers and brute majority, and by resolution, ask for the expulsion of those who are opposing you. What does it tell the whole world? We thought democracy had taken deep roots in India, but if this is the kind of manner in which the ruling dispensations of the day, and I'm not making a reference to any one particular dispensation, it could be anyone for that matter tomorrow. If this precedent is set up, then any inconvenient MP in the opposition ranks could be suspended. And look at the consequence. The consequence is not a mere suspension of the MP for the number of days that the order says the MP is suspended, but the voice of the people whom that MP represents is also suspended for that duration.
Right.
So critical issues of the people cannot be brought before the House.
Right.
I think this is the death knell of parliamentary democracy. All parties, including the ruling party, should reconsider the way parliamentary democracy is to function in this country.
Sir, I'd like to ask you also about some of the critical legislations which are going to be taken up in this session of Parliament, especially the amendments to the criminal laws. How do you think those legislations are going to be impacted and passed in an atmosphere when 71% of opposition MPs in the Lok Sabha are not there, they are suspended, and a large number of MPs in the Rajya Sabha have also been suspended?
If criminal laws are bulldozed through the legislative process in the absence of opposition MPs, that's indeed a black day for India's democracy. Criminal laws impact citizens the most. It is that phase of the law that regulates crime, that regulates activity to ensure that there is stability and peace in the society. And also there is justice, benign justice according to rule of the law. So if criminal laws are passed without discussion and debate, what if any draconian provision or any undesirable provision in the law is passed without debate? Look at the consequences it will have on the criminal justice system for the remaining years, for the coming years. And once the law is passed, it is almost an impossible process to amend it until you have that kind of majority. And in the state of the fractured polity that we today live in, it is difficult for opposition to have the kind of majority that will enable it easily to undo laws. So I think there are grave consequences for parliamentary democracy if MPs are suspended and not allowed to perform their function in and outside of parliament.
Right. I would also like to ask you about the larger reasons for suspension. Currently, all the opposition MPs who are being suspended, they have been suspended for creating a ruckus in the House or protesting in the well of the House, sloganeering, showing morph pictures of the Prime Minister and demanding a statement from the Home Minister and the Prime Minister on the security breach. Is this reason enough to take a drastic action such as suspending at least 140 MPs?
Look, there is a difference between the existence of power and the exercise of power. You can create or use any reason to exercise your brute majority power in parliament and suspend your opponents. But whether you should exercise that power in that manner or not is the moot question. Our conventions of parliamentary democracy, as established in the past, show that suspension or expulsion of an MP is the rarest of rare things to happen. And therefore, if only on account of an aggravated conduct of certain MPs, you are going to suspend them and strip them of their representative rights. I think that is a very, very serious matter. The ruling dispensation, even if it is peeved at some of the happenings, and it has a right to be peeved at times, you never resort to this kind of an action. In the UPA government, we never did that. We never suspended or expelled MPs. And we all know that in the last year of the UPA regime, no legislative business was allowed to be transacted by the opposition, which now sits on the ruling benches. Therefore, healthy democratic conventions need to be established and have been established in the past, and they must be followed. You don't resort to extreme punishments for this kind of activity of MPs. There's something known as proportionality of punishment. This is wholly disproportionate to what they are accused of.
Do you think, sir, the reduced strength of the opposition in both houses will make it easier for the BJP to pass legislations, including the criminal law amendments, the post office bill, the telecom bill as well?
It goes without saying. There will hardly be any discussion or any meaningful discussion. Some people will, of course, stand up and exercise their right to say what they need to say. But when the numbers are all in favor of the ruling dispensation and further facilitated by the whole-scale expulsion of opposition MPs, what else can you expect? The laws, the passage of the legislation is a foregone conclusion.
Right. When you have such a large number of MPs suspended, do they have any kind of legal recourse?
Well, who's going to look at the legal recourse? The damage is done. I mean, bills will be passed, they would be enacted into law. By the time you go into the court, the suspension period would be over. And in any case, the action of the Speaker in these matters is hardly amenable to judicial review.
Right. I would also like to ask you whether this would be a rallying point for the India Alliance. If you were to make one recommendation to them right now, there is also discussion about resigning altogether in protest against what's happening currently. What would be your view?
If they do that, it would send a clear message of some kind of unity in the India ranks. I think since only 3 months are left for the next Lok Sabha elections, there should be no difficulty, at least in the Lok Sabha MPs, to resign to make a point. But whether that would be enough or whether that would galvanize India Alliance, I'm not so sure, but it certainly would be indicative of a resolve to protest injustice.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar, for joining us on the program, giving us your view on the massive suspension of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha MPs from the opposition, and what kind of impact will it have on the parliamentary process, especially on the passage of key legislations. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Center. More news and updates continue right here.
CNBC-TV18, embarking on a quarter century of excellence.